What's up, you beautiful collectors? This is Optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And today, thanks to the folks at kghobby.com, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Heart 1/6 scale Future Killer, which, in case you really can't tell by that image, is basically a third-party representation of the TX from Terminator 3. Now, despite what you feel about the Terminator 3 movie, I actually think that this character was really very cool. And we've never really gotten a really good 1/6 scale representation of her, at least until now. For the package, you got the Future Killer with the X thing going on there, obviously giving kind of homage to that this is the TX, or Terminatrix, whatever you want to call her. You have the Hot Heart logo right down there. And then what's really cool is, as you can see, you got an outline image of actually the TX's skull, and then on the outside is kind of a blurred image of Logan herself, who played the TX. You got some weird kind of robotic labels and stuff. You come around here to the back. You got various warnings. Basically, you have this whole section right up here translated down here for you. And throughout the back of the package, you can see some of those fairly famous looking bullet holes, kind of replicating her liquid metal sort of form. And then it is a bit of a shoebox style box that I'm trying to shake it and get it to loosen up. There we go. Bring it up. Nothing there on the back. And then on the inside here, you have foam that when you slide it down, you have the figure as well as all of her accessories. And as you can see, she comes with a fairly decent amount. And then when you slide this, you have more of her accessories. So yeah, lots of different, very cool display options with it. And like I said, despite what you kind of think about the Terminator 3 movie, I liked the TX. To be honest, I even liked the movie. I don't think it's as bad as everybody makes it out to be. It's just a kind of fun popcorn sort of flick, but the character of the TX, I think, is really cool and a natural progression of the Terminator. Obviously, you have the T-800, which is Arnold, which we all know is the endoskeleton with living tissue on the outside. The T-1000 was made entirely up out of liquid metal. The TX was kind of a hybrid of the two that had an actual metal endoskeleton, but then also had liquid metal on the outside of her. But for the packaging on this, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get her out here and see how cool she actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Future Killer opened up out of her packaging, and for a third-party figure, really very impressive. Now that doesn't mean that she's an absolutely perfect figure. She does have a few faults, but in general, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Now starting off first with her accessories, as you can see, she actually does come with a fairly good amount. In addition to the two sort of relaxed hands that are currently on her, you get a pair of fisted hands that, as you can see, look really fairly simple, I guess, but work very nicely. You also do get a right and left pair of hands that are kind of like in a gun holding sort of position, but as you can see, don't have the index finger extended out for the trigger. I really don't know necessarily what you would use these for. If you're going to have her holding the gun, which she does come with, you would anticipate that a Terminator would always have the index finger on the trigger ready to go. So these ones I'm really not entirely sold on, but they're there. You do get a right and left pair that do have that though. One thing that I'll note though is this is an extremely small hole that the handle does not fit through. In order to do it, I actually had to cut the thumb from the middle finger, at least on this one for her left hand. I could do it on the right one as well, but as you can see, it's attached right there. And because it's attached, you can't really slide the handle through there. So I did cut it so that you can spread the fingers out a little bit to get her holding your gun. It's a minor qualm, I think, but when you cut it, you really can't tell. But that's one minor little piece that I feel like they should have done that really would have helped the overall kind of display options for the figure. You do get her handgun, as you can see, fairly simple looking. You got a nice black sort of bottom section, nice silver up here. Does this move? Yeah, it actually does have a mechanical section right up here. You can see that slides, and then you can remove the clip, and you have a nice little copper painted bullet right there on the inside, which is nice. So good attention to detail on there. Now she also does come with this little cloth that has some red paint that's on here. One thing that I would have liked to have seen a little bit more is if this was a darker red. As it is, it just kind of looks like it's a little bit too light and a little bit faded. You come around to the other side, you can see that it kind of bleeds through some. So, I mean, I like this. This is how she discovered that John Connor was inside the veterinary clinic in a really kind of creepy scene where she licked this and totally looked like it was a out of this world experience, if you get my drift. But I do wish that this was a little bit darker. As it is, it just kind of looks like, I guess, marker. It just is a little bit too light. So again, that's just another little touch, kind of like with the actual fingers, that I wish they would have done that would have just set this over the edge a little bit more. I like that she comes with it, just could have been refined a little bit more. Now, she also does come with 2 additional left arms. As you can see, this one here is a more robotic looking one, which I think that this looks really very cool. I wish that some of the paint detail, kind of like up here where it just gets a little bit drab, was a little bit better. I mean, you can see that this is sort of dull, I guess, and then as it comes down here, it gets a lot more chromy and shiny looking. I do like the additional blue paint here on the inside. Come around the inside of the actual arm, you can see more of those mechanical details. It's very simple, but does look really cool. I like how this actually turned out. That's one aspect that I love about Terminator figures, is the ability to have something that shows that it's robotic underneath, and this arm here definitely does that. Even the position of the fingers, I think, looks really good, even though that they're not articulated. The kind of open sort of gesture, I think, really does look cool. And then she also does come with her, I want to say that this was like her little plasma canning arm. But again, you can see kind of a dullish sort of paint around the base right here. They may have done that to kind of mimic the changing of the flesh to the actual metal. This part here would technically be like the liquid metal part that morphs into skin, I guess, and then it reveals this. So it's like this kind of pulls back and then has transition right here. Although it could be a little bit better looking. I mean, you can kind of see how it just looks like it cuts right off there. So I think that they could have blended that a little better through there. But all in all, this is actually really nice as well. You got a little kind of that blue effect going throughout there. That is removable, so you can take that out if you really wanted to. And again, great detail sculpted throughout the intersection, all the little prongs here. You got a little blue section right there. Overall, really very happy. I didn't even notice you got a little nub right there. That's kind of weird looking. But in terms of the robotic sections, I think that's really cool. I do wish he had more, but we'll touch on that here a little bit. I did also forget about these hands. You can see that she's got one hand that's just kind of straight. I don't know what you would do with it. But in talking about the extra robotic sections, she also does come with a right hand here that, as you can see, has the little, I guess, I don't know exactly what you would call this. It's not the little stabby one that the T-1000 had. As you can see, this is a little bit mechanical right down here, and then it comes out to a point. This is the thing that she used to control other machines, like injected nanoprobes into it. You can see that it does get a little bit bent. I would probably have to heat that up, or maybe just kind of work it. Yeah, see, working it kind of straightens it out. In terms of actual robotic details like the arms, she does have this with her hand. Now, I really wish that there was some extra things included, like perhaps little sticky things that you could put on the suit replicating the bullet holes. Or maybe even a battle-damaged headpiece or something like that. Not full-on endoskeleton, just like half Kristana Loken and half TX, something like that. Now, she also does come with an alternate outfit. You can see you get a different pair of shoes. The ones that are currently on are high heels. These ones are kind of like wedged heels. I think they're called wedged heels. I don't actually know. She comes with a skirt that you come around here to the back. You got a little button. You just unclasp that, kind of put that back together, and you can very easily wrap that around her waist. She also does come with a, I'm guessing Air Force, the shirt. You can see that it says Hastings on there. You got a little button. You got some shoulder sections and things like that. Nice blue color. These are brought together by just Velcro, so you can open it up and then you can Velcro it closed. That's one thing that, again, I'll touch on here in a little bit. Well, I guess I could talk about it now. You can swap this out. The problem, though, is this suit right here uses actual buttons, so you gotta like loop them in to do it, and it's really very tricky to do. I don't like it. I wish that they would have used Velcro, or as you can see, you have this little button thing here in the back. This is something that Hot Toys uses a lot of, these little buttons like that. I wish that they would have used that for that, because using actual buttons for how small they are is really tough, and because it's so tight around the actual waist section, it's hard to manipulate that to get that on and off. So I am not going to show this to you because taking that off is a giant pain, and it's also kind of made me alter how I put these arms on, but you do have that. You also do get a name badge here, which I'm trying to remember. Maybe she had it just down here. I don't exactly remember, but it would make sense, I guess, that it would be hooked on there because there are no pockets or anything to attach it to here. So I think it was just down here on the side, which, as you can see, you do that. And then looking real close, I don't know how well that's going to come across. Oh, there we go. You can actually see that it is a pretty good image of Kristanna Loken right there. So that's really cool that they actually do that. Now, you also do get this display stand, which does look pretty cool. You got lights right here. It says TX right across the top, and then you got a little kind of platform with the almost Hot Toy-esque cradle right here. Now, you come around near the bottom, you can see that there's a screw section, and there's actually a button right here. I don't know if that actually does work. I should get some batteries for that, but you got little lights right here. So that's kind of cool that they include something like that. I do kind of wish this is a bigger display. And much like the Hot Toys ones, I like them, but I do wish that they would just give us small round ones in case you don't want to use this, because this does take up more kind of retail in a display. So, and like you can see, you just put her right there, and it helps very nicely. So as you can see, for her accessories, you actually get a fairly good amount, which really does impress me for a third-party piece. Now, coming in to take a closer look at the figure, one of the best aspects I really do feel is the likeness. Now, honestly, Hot Heart is not the only company that has made a TX style figure, but this is the one that I think absolutely has the best likeness to the actress who played the Terminatrix. I really think that they did a great job of capturing that look. You got a very nice intensity to the eyes, very subtle lipstick down there. You can even see they have the actual earrings painted in. One thing that I will say is she does come with the necklace, which the TX did wear. Unfortunately, in swapping out some of the clothing and stuff, the head popped off, and I do not know where the necklace went. It's just on a little string, and then it has the little pendant that's on there. So you do get that, but unfortunately, I can't really show you that. But really, very good likeness. The hair sculpt is really nice. She's got the bun that was featured for her hairstyle. I think that they got a good part here, and how it actually kind of divots in a little bit towards there. Definitely has the look for the actress. Now, one thing that I'm not particularly a big fan of would probably be the chest area. Now, I don't mean to make this weird, but this definitely is a little bit larger than I would like it to be. I think they went for the look where the TX enlarged her bust when she was pulled over by the police officer. I just feel, honestly, that it looks a little bit strange. I mean, it is a much more voluptuous body, and as I said, I think that they were going for that look, but I would have preferred the more natural look that she has. This just almost looks a little bit, I don't want to say cartoonish, just off, honestly. It makes her definitely a little bit top heavy in this area. And then as you can see, she comes down, has a very narrow waist. It looks off. You can see real great detail with the faux leather jacket. These buttons are the ones that I was talking about that you actually have to kind of button like a real button, which I don't like. I think it's very clunky and doesn't really swap off very easily when you want to swap out her uniform or even switch the arm, which I'll touch on here in a little bit. One other thing that I'm noticing is the coloration here. The head is a little bit darker than the rest of the body. That looks a little bit weird. And then also, I think they could have did a little bit better of a job with the neck. It's not that bad, but when you have it right there, I mean, you could totally see two different skin tones. That's one little aspect that does kind of annoy me. I mean, it would annoy me on a Hot Toy figure as well. And this is a third-party figure, so I'm a little bit more lenient with it. But certain things like that really could improve the polish of the figure. You come down to the legs, though, and you have the very vinyl-looking pants that she wore. And those look really very nice. They they match very nicely with the full leather jacket. And then you come down and you can, I'm going to lift this up a little bit. You can see that she does have her high heels, which look really nice. You got a little heel section here that's painted silver, and then you just got the heel itself. You can obviously swap those out with the other shoes when you want to create that other look. But overall, the look looks really very, very good on it. I just wish that this area was a little bit more reduced. Now, for the arms, like I was talking about, the way that the instructions tell you is that you unclasp the buttons, kind of loosen the whole jacket up, and then you kind of pull the arm out. I do it a little bit differently because, like I said, I don't like detaching this, and you can kind of see that the little buttons get a little bit frayed on the inside, so I don't like fidgeting with that. So what you basically do, and I'm going to put this arm on here, right at the upper part of the bicep area is the swivel point that detaches. So what I basically do is kind of rotate this up, slide the sleeve up a little bit to give some slack, kind of feel where it is, and then basically just kind of rotate that, and obviously lifting up the sleeve allows you to kind of put some torque on the actual outfit. So you just kind of rotate that around and keeping that up there. I don't want to pull the whole thing out, although I mean the arm can come all the way out, so I'll just do it that way. Makes it a little bit easier, I guess. So at least on mine, the entire shoulder section pops out, so you can just pull that out and you can just have a crazy armless Terminatrix. But you have this, and that's what you pop that off just like so. And then you take this and literally pop that back in, rotate that around, get that locked into place, spin that, and then I'm going to feed it back up inside here. It's a little bit tricky. You just kind of rotate it around. It makes it a little bit easier to get her arm to go up the sleeve. It's a little bit tricky because I'm doing it on a table here that makes her not stand still. So you just fidget with that till you get it. There you go. You kind of feed it through here. Hold on. And then when you have that in, you can sort of wiggle the sleeve down, using this again, to cover that whole arm section. So I guess in terms of this looking a little bit ugly, it does look better when you get this whole sleeve thing down. It is a little bit tricky. You just need to kind of rotate that around. And like I said, the actual instructions tell you to take the jacket off and do it, but it's so much more easier, despite the fact that it's actually a little bit tricky for me to do it, to get this to come down. And part of it is because of the little elbow joint right here. It does kind of bunch things up. So fidgeting with that a little bit, you can see that you can create a pretty cool look for her. Now, obviously, that's not the ideal kind of look for it, but that really does look absolutely terrific when you're able to put that arm on there. I mean, it creates, like I said, that Terminator sort of look where you have a humanoid sort of figure, and then you can see that it reveals a robot underneath. Now, obviously, you can also do that with this arm as well. Basically, you want to do the same process. If you're good and if you have small enough fingers to play with those buttons, by all means, do it that way. You do have to still feed this kind of through the bottom section, because this bit here is too big, and then this is also too big, and these pieces do not remove. Now, leaving this arm on to go over her articulation, because it is a little bit different. And then this piece, you do, when you detach this, you do have to really make sure you give that a nice little push to lock that back into place. The neck section here is on a ball joint. You can pop the head off if you want. Like I said, that's how I lost the necklace. So you can pop that right back on there, so you get a nice range of motion with that actual head. The shoulders here move in and out, fidgeting with it to get it looking good, because otherwise you're going to get a weird like kind of bend right there. Rotates forward and back very nicely. Does rotate at the upper part of the bicep, but as you rotate it forward, again, much like a lot of Hot Toy figures, you do have to kind of rotate the suit to kind of get some clearance for the actual rotation. So you got the upper bicep, you got two elbows, the wrists do rotate, and then they hinge forward and back. They are very similar to Hot Toy joints, but you can see that it's a little bit different of a sort of design. Now, when you have this on here, this can also rotate and hinge forward and back. It also does bend at the elbow. All that same articulation is there, except, like I said, you cannot remove this, or they tell you that you can't actually remove it. This arm right here, obviously, because it is basically the exact same from the shoulder section to the elbow, you do have that same range of motion. This piece, though, doesn't really do anything. This is just all molded in one section, so you can't really rotate that. She does have an upper diaphragm bend that is right below her bust, so you can move that there and you can kind of pivot it. I want to say she has a waist. Actually, maybe she doesn't. So let me just come down. No, she actually doesn't. So you got her little belly button right there. So her articulation is right there, and that's it. So getting her pants buttoned up. Her hips do move forward and back, though, so you get a nice range of motion. And because this is a fairly flexible material, you can actually get it going fairly high. You can rotate it in and out. Obviously, you don't go too far because it puts stress on that seam here in the middle. And then she does rotate at the upper part of the thigh. She does have 2 bends at the knee. And then coming down to the ankle, you can actually pivot that side to side a little bit for some ankle tilt, moves forward and back. You can take the whole darn thing off if you want. You can see that's just the boot. And then, like I said, you can put those other shoes in there. But this is my preferred look for her. So all the articulation that you would expect in a 6-scale figure is still here. I think the best aspect of the figure, though, is the likeness. I think that it is spot on and looks terrific. Now, one thing that I did test out before I kind of wrap this video up, getting her to stand right here, is that, yeah, you can actually get this to light up. I did put 3 AAA batteries under here. You got the switch, and then you can turn that on. Very bright lights as well, and then you can position that there. You can then actually take these lights, and they kind of pivot a little bit, so you can kind of angle it up, but because of the elevated surface, it does kind of hit the edges of that, so you don't get a ton of light kind of going up and focusing on the figure, but it's actually still really very nice. Now, I do want to, like I said before, wrap things up, do a comparison. So here is the Terminatrix, and here's Arnold from the Genesis movie. As you can see, scale-wise, it works very nicely. He's a lot bigger and bulkier, and because she's obviously a female, she's much smaller and petite-looking, but I think that this scales very nicely, and in a display, looks really very cool. But as I mentioned, being a third-party figure, I don't put a lot of expectations in them. I don't necessarily think a lot of the third-party companies have the same level of artistry as, say, Hot Toys. But Hot Heart here did a terrific job with their Future Killer. As I said, there's another company that made one, but it just didn't look right. This one really did impress me, and that's why I went ahead and got it. And getting it in hand really did, for me, justify that decision. As I said, there are a few issues that I think that could have made this figure just about perfect. You know, whether it be the buttons or the chest area. If you wanted to get kind of nitpicky, you could even say the little bit ugly joint here. I wish that didn't come down as much. But for what it is, like I said, really very happy. The amount of accessories that you get, the likeness, the outfit, everything came together. And despite the fact that, as I said, Terminator 3 is not a favorite amongst fans, I still think that the TX was a really cool character. And I am absolutely happy and thrilled to add this to my Terminator display. So if you'd like to pick this up and add it to your collection, it is available right now at kghobby.com. So all you have to do for that is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to KG Hobby, where you can check out availability on this, as well as the rest of their wide range of collectible figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, to please hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way towards helping me out, and I'd really appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, do me a real quick favor and click on that bell right below this video. And double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And as always, until next time, be excellent to each other.